Welcome back to another episode of Resurrected Retros. I'm Isaac of the Dead. Today we're going to be talking about Black Sails. I've been meaning to talk about Black Sails for a long time because Black Sails is one of the most underrated shows I think on TV ever. Now, me personally, I'm biased because I grew up with Pirates of the Caribbean. I love the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. It made me a diehard fan of the pirates, genre, or at least the pirates fantasy genre in a way. And so naturally, as an adult, I started gravitating more towards Black Sails and things like Crossbones, which I'll make a video for Crossbones a whole another day. But Black Sails is a show that came on Starz. I think it aired in 2014, went on to about 2017. So it only ran 4 seasons, and I think that was the perfect length because if it had gone to 5 seasons, I think it would have overstepped its boundaries. It would have overstayed its welcome, if you will, if it went for 5 seasons or too many seasons too long. 4 seasons was perfect. It was perfectly paced, perfectly timed. 10 episodes like per season, an hour long each. It was very much like, if I were to compare it to early seasons of Game of Thrones. Now, I will say, early seasons of Game of Thrones, seasons 1 through 4 of Game of Thrones are far better than Black Sails, but that's not me insulting Black Sails. Black Sails lives up to the hype, and I find it just disappointing that it's not talked about more amongst the cultural zeitgeist because it's one of the most underrated gems to come out in that time period. And it's definitely like, got the Machiavellian games, the chess games of, pirates trying to scheme and outdo each other in a very Game of Thrones style way. So that's why I compare it to the early seasons of Game of Thrones, even though Game of Thrones is still a better show, I think, than Black Sails. The show follows Captain Flint and his hunt for the Urca de Lima, the treasure of the Spanish galleon, the Urca. And so, which I think, is it the Urca or the Urker? I think it's the Urca de Lima. It's a Spanish ship with a shit ton of gold. It's just got all the gold. We're talking about millions of dollars worth in gold. And we're talking about at a time where, pirates, adjusted for inflation now, their economy back then weighed in gold. Millions of dollars is a lot on that ship. So the story follows Captain Flint as he's hunting for that ship, as he seeks for revenge against the British Empire, against the East Trading Company, and the king himself, essentially. And it follows Pirates of Nassau. You got real-life pirates like Charles Vane, Captain Jack Rackham, and Bonnie. Blackbeard shows up in season 3. Israel Hands is in there. Redbeard. Long John Silver is the accompanying character to Captain Flint. And as you notice, Long John Silver and Captain Flint are characters in this show with Billy Bones as well. Because this show, and I didn't realize it at first, but this show is actually a basically spiritual prequel to Treasure Island. And knowing that fact, it's like, oh, so given that this is supposed to be a prequel to Treasure Island, then we know, okay, that the treasure that's on the ship is going to be the treasure from Treasure Island, and we know where Long John Silver's going, we know where Billy Bones is going, but what's more of an intriguing mystery is the story of Captain Flint and his war against the British Empire, the war against essentially civilization. He saw that the rise of colonialism in the West meant that the outlaw pirate life was threatened by law and order. And it's a clash of ideologies between the Pirates of Nassau and the British government trying to rule the Western world. And so it's an exciting, very thrilling show. I mean, you don't get action scenes every single episode, but some of the ones that you do are gruesome. There's, in season 3 or 4, I think it's season 4, there's a scene where they do key hauling, which is basically, if you don't know what key hauling is, they tie a man up by his hands and feet and drag him over the side of the boat and drag him under the boat through the water and up the other side. So this person is being scraped across the barnacles under the boat as they're gargling and drowning underwater, and coming up the other side being shredded by the barnacles underneath. It's gruesome. It's horrible, but it's brutal. The brutal reality of pirates. Basically, if I were to compare this to Pirates of the Caribbean, if you were to ask, Pirates of the Caribbean is definitely watered down Disney version of pirates, which is okay for me. I've grown up on Pirates of the Caribbean. But Black Sails really hammers in just how brutal that lifestyle was and how brutal pirates were. And that they didn't give a fuck about anything. They were brutal, they were bloody, they were bastards, they were savages, they were unlawful, untamed. And the show has a brilliant way of showing that while also maintaining complex characters like Charles Vane, Jack Rackham, Anne Bonny, Max, who is one of the prostitutes who ends up coming out of the hooker role and into a basically queen pen, if you will. That's a little bit of a spoiler there, but this show is phenomenal. It's one of my favorite shows personally, and yes, I'm biased because I'm a pirate guy, but I cannot recommend enough Black Sails to everybody because it is genuinely one of the most underrated shows out there. Sure, it's got its slow episodes, it's got slow moments, it's got a lot of talking and scheming. Like I said, compared to early seasons of Game of Thrones, there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of people scheming behind each other's back, and I can see where people get turned off by that. I can see why people would be not interested in that. For me personally, why it works is because you care about the characters and you care about why they're scheming, what they're talking about. You have an interest in their goals and their philosophies. And so that's coupled with really great humor throughout the show. Some very underrated humor whenever it comes to the characters. That's what makes them so likable. And I think that's what endured Black Sails fans. And so Captain Flint is played expertly by Toby Stephens. He's one of the most relatable characters, and yet he is a demented psychopath in the show. The dude is like, every time he takes a step forward, he's like, all right, we wiped out one ship, but we're nowhere close to the Urca de Lima, so I'm just going to go to war with the British Empire. It's like the dude's a legit psycho, and even Billy Bones is like, dude, you need to chill the fuck out. So the show is phenomenal. It's incredible. I highly recommend it. Black Sails. I think it was produced by Michael Bay as well. And you never think it was, but I think that's where they got most of their money because it looks fucking great. I know the CGI can look a little bit choppy here and there whenever it comes to the ship being on water and all that, because I know that having, pirate ships being filmed overseas in practical sets and all that is really expensive to maintain. So I praise this show for doing such a great job at making the show practical and realistic. But yeah, it is definitely a recommend from me. Resurrected Retros, Black Sails, one of my personal favorite shows. So go check it out when you have time. But if you have seen it, let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Like, share, and subscribe. And I will see y'all in another video very soon.